If I told you that every plateau, every revenue ceiling, every time you feel like you're working really hard, but you're not scaling as fast as you want, could all be traced back to one single thing, would you believe me? Your current results are a direct reflection of your current standards. And by the end of this video, you'll understand a simple three-level framework that separates entrepreneurs who stay stuck from those who consistently break through to new levels in their business. So we're going to cover why your biggest goals are only possible when you have the right standards in place, the fractal cycle that creates consistent growth, and the three specific levels where your standards must rise for you to reach your next breakthrough. And I'll also share two psychological patterns that separate the entrepreneurs who get stuck from those who continually level up. So think about your business right now. Every revenue plateau, every recurring bottleneck, every time you feel like you're pushing but the needle isn't moving, it's all coming from the same place. The standards that you're operating from across your business. And the annoying, inconvenient truth is that your biggest goals and your greatest vision is only achievable when you have the right standards in place. This is not about short-term tactics, shiny strategies, more effort. All those things, they can produce a temporary spike, but standards are the key to consistent, sustainable growth, because that's only going to happen when you consistently raise the standards across your entire system. So this is a very simple fractal cycle that you'll go through over and over again as you grow. First, you raise the standard, then you focus on repeating the behavior, making the behavior repeatable. So let me break this down. Raising the standard means improving how something gets done. And that's the improvement phase. This is hard because you're raising the bar in a particular area, and that's uncomfortable. It's energetically expensive. It takes a concentration of intention and attention to make something better. Repeating the behavior makes that improvement predictable, repeatable, and consistent. That's where the new behavior becomes automatic and requires less energy to maintain. Think of it this way, right? When a new set of behaviors, whether it's going to the gym or eating in a certain way, or something that you do in your business becomes predictable, repeatable, and consistent, that's what creates your new normal. Like that's what creates the new standard that you operate from. And then you do it again at a higher level. So this is the cycle that creates exponential growth instead of, being stuck in linear hustle. And most entrepreneurs have a really hard time with this process because of one very simple reason, which is that it's very difficult to be objective about yourself. It's very difficult to see yourself objectively, see yourself accurately in truth. And this is particularly relevant in terms of seeing if your bar in a particular area is high enough, or is it so high that it becomes counterproductive? So think about it, right? When was the last time you got truly honest feedback about your blind spots? And if you did get truly honest feedback about your blind spots, how did you respond to it? Did it feel comfortable for you to receive? Or did you brace for it? Or did you push back and you didn't let it in? Or you had a reaction to it? Most entrepreneurs have a hard time with this because most entrepreneurs default to judgment and self-criticism instead of clearly assessing themselves, because they have all sorts of internal programs running that distort how they relate to themselves. And you really need someone on the outside to give you perspective, or at the very least, an external reference point to compare against. And I see two patterns that separate the entrepreneurs who get stuck from those who consistently level up. So the first one is ego protection versus goal protection. So the entrepreneurs who struggle, they're focused more on protecting their ego. The ones who consistently raise their standards, they protect their goal from their ego. And something I tell my clients a lot is that anything that can be destroyed by the truth must be. Otherwise, you're going to keep sacrificing your goals to protect your really fragile sense of self. And if you currently have a fragile sense of self, if you find yourself protecting your ego at the expense of your goals, know that this is something that can change over time with enough work. The goal is for us to have such a healthy ego structure that we can receive feedback from our environment, from the business. Sometimes it's just looking at the metrics, the scorecard in your business in terms of how things are doing, but also, in terms of how you're showing up, not just in your business, in terms of your life, in terms of your health, all those things. And if you don't have a healthy ego structure, you're not going to let in this feedback. And improving any system requires a feedback loop, right? We have to receive that feedback and we have to improve how the system performs based on that feedback. And that's what iteratively creates improvement. And when that stacks over a long enough period of time, that really compounds exponentially. This is true for your psychological system. It's also true for your business system. It's true for pretty much every single system. The second one is that it's the difference between fighting for your limitations versus fighting for higher standards. So the ones who get stuck, they keep fighting for their limitations. They keep defending why things can't change or improve. Their imagination and vision is a function of what was possible in the past. Basically, what's comfortable, what's doable, what's achievable. The ones who continually level up, they fight for a higher standard. So they're operating from a vision of the future that their present self is completely incapable of achieving. It terrifies their present self. It has no idea how the fuck this is going to happen. And they're fueled by the process of constantly becoming a better version of themselves. So they get energy from constantly leveling up who they are. And because of that, they're hungry for the feedback that exposes the gap between who they are and who they could be, right? Their present self and a future version of themselves has more capacity, that executes at a higher level, that has a bigger vision, all those things. And most people, they avoid feedback and coaching, not because they don't need it. Actually, those people need it the most. It's really interesting. Actually, the people who seek out coaching and feedback actually need it less because they're already the kind of person that's looking for signals from their environment to improve themselves. But the people who avoid it, it's because they're afraid of what will be revealed about them in the process. All the things that they've been hiding from themselves, all the little ways that they're out of integrity with themselves, the gap between where they are and where they could be. That gap is not a judgment. And by the way, that's an indicator of someone with a fragile sense of self, that they see this as judgment and they use it to beat themselves up. They use it to criticize themselves. They use it to judge themselves. But it's actually just information, right? It's what allows you to close that gap. And for your business to reach its next level, standards need to be raised across 3 critical areas. So the first one is the self, the founder. So this is your personal level of execution as the founder of your business. It's your ability to allocate time, energy, and focus to the things that actually move the needle versus, stuff that doesn't or doesn't as much. It's what you choose to work on that might be uncomfortable versus the thing that you default to working on because it's more comfortable, it's easy, you're good at it, you have some skills and some experience built in there. It's how you show up. It's how you make decisions. It's how you prioritize. It's how long you allow yourself to spiral out when something undesirable happens. It's how much you hesitate executing on something because you're waiting for more certainty, more information. So what's one area where your personal standards could be higher? Maybe it's how you structure your day. Maybe it's the quality of decisions you make under pressure. Maybe it's how you handle distractions. Maybe it's something health related. You are on your phone late at night. It fucks up your sleep. You wake up the next day groggy. You over-caffeinate, and then you repeat this vicious cycle. If you accept that your business can only rise to the level of your personal standards as the founder, what's the main constraint that you are creating in your business right now that if you solved, would produce an immediate impact? That's something worth reflecting on and working on. So the second level is systems. So your business systems right now are operating at a certain standard. It's your lead gen systems, your sales process, your client delivery, your operations. And the next level of your business requires one of two things. Either more of the right systems being built that gives you higher leverage and more predictability, or your existing systems operating at a higher standard. So think about your current systems. Are they creating predictable, repeatable results? Or are you having to constantly intervene and fix things manually? Do you have systems doing the heavy lifting, or are you actually cranking the handle? Because each system has a current standard, and that standard is creating a current results. If you want different results, you need systems that operate at a higher standard. And the third level is the team. So your team, both at an individual and collective level, operates from a set of standards. You can probably feel this, right? How they communicate, how they solve problems, how proactive they are, how they handle clients, how they execute projects, the quality of their work, the speed of their work, how much ownership and accountability they take. So your current team standards equal your current team results. And if your team is delivering B plus work, it's because B plus is the current standard. If you want A plus results, you're going to need A plus standards. And your team will rise or fall to meet the standards that you actually enforce, not the ones you say you want, right? Unless standards are enforced, unless there's a consequence to meeting the standard and not meeting the standard, doesn't really matter. It's just talk. And it's really hard to hold others accountable when you struggle to hold yourself accountable. And that's the beautiful thing about this framework, right? When you raise standards at one level, it improves the entire system. It creates ripple effects across all levels. When you raise your personal standards as the founder, your team feels it and they naturally raise their game. When you raise the system standards, it forces better personal habits and team execution. When you raise the team standards, it demands better systems and personal leadership. It's all connected because it's all a fractal. So if you're plateaued, it's because your standards are plateaued. If growth feels harder than it should, it's because you're trying to get new results from old standards that aren't going to get you there. If you feel like you're working harder but not getting ahead, it's because effort without higher standards just creates more of the same. It just creates more noise. And you cannot solve a standards problem with more tactics or hustle, right? It only produces a temporary lift. It doesn't result in consistent long-term growth. So here's an action plan. So step one, just pick your level, right? Pick which one of the three levels is the main constraint where you know that standards need to be higher. And that is yourself. That is your personal execution and decision-making. Is it your systems? That's how your business operates day to day, how core functions get delivered. Or is it your team, how your people perform and communicate? And step two is you just get really specific. So don't just say I need better systems, get really granular. You maybe want to say my client onboarding process needs to be more structured so new clients know exactly what to expect in the first 30 days. Or I need to stop checking Slack during my deep work hours and actually train my team to handle decisions without me. And step three is just you set the new standard. You define what higher looks like with clear measurable criteria. Like all client questions get responded to within 4 business hours. Or every team meeting ends with clear action items and deadlines. Or I'm going to protect the first 2 hours of every single day for revenue generating activities. Like I'm going to send an email every day, or I'm going to post, a YouTube video every week, whatever it might be for you. And step 4 is you create the system to actually maintain it. And this is where most people fail because they set a new standard, but they don't build the structure to maintain it. So if your new standard is faster client response times, then you need a system for tracking and measuring response times. Otherwise, you're just flying blind. If your new standard is protecting your deep work time, you need to restructure your calendar and train your team or your clients on when they can and can't interrupt you, right? You need boundaries. So drop a comment and let me know which one of these 3 levels that resonates the most with you in terms of where you are right now. And what's one specific standard you're committed to raising this week? For me, it's actually putting out more content like this because one of the biggest things that I've been neglecting, one of the places where I've had low standard is actually putting out more content like this, building a brand. And that's something that I'm committed to raising the bar for myself. So our biggest goals aren't waiting for new strategies. Our biggest goals are waiting for higher standards that it's up to us to identify, to establish, and to actually implement in a consistent way. And so if this framework helped you see where you need to level up, make sure you're subscribed because I'm going to be sharing a lot more on here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.